Hi, I am Bill Simmons, Artistic Director of the Phoenix Theater Cultural Center in downtown Indianapolis. And today my guest is Ashley Saunders. She is a student in my current Sanford Meisner acting class. We're coming up on about 23 months together. We're in the final few weeks of class. Ashley, I'm delighted to welcome you to this conversation. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me today, Bill.
Oh, I'm
Appreciate it.
delighted. Thank you so much. I've been talking to people about the class a lot lately, both your fellow classmates and people who've been asking me, board members and other artists. And I just think this class it's been a balm to my soul. And I think you all as artists have grown so much during this very, very difficult time. So this is a good segue, kind of like what has the class meant to you since we started 2 years ago?
Well, the class meant to me, uh, honestly, if this class was not going on during this pandemic, I honestly don't know what I would be doing. I mean, every week I always look forward to this, and I just miss being in the room with everybody so much. And I know that during this pandemic time, we got to keep it safe. But even doing this class on Zoom, I could really see the growth in all of us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Jolene Moffat was, as you know, has visited the classes. She's substituted for me, and she was there the other night, giving notes during the final presentation of the restoration texts. And she and I talked about it the day after, and she said, Bill, I just think it's really lovely how connected everybody is and how deep they are in the material and and she can see how far you've all come because
Mhm,
she's been involved in the class maybe every couple of months,
mhm.
and so she's really keenly aware of the growth of all of us. So I'm
Yeah.
glad that you're feeling it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and for me, it just keeps me going. It gives me things to do throughout the week when, of course, there's no shows going, and I mean, there's no shows to go to support my other friends. So I feel like this keeps me going, if I can guess, for lack of better terms.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. So before the pandemic shut the world down, what was your career as an actor in Indianapolis like?
Oh wow. Well, I was starting to focus more on. I really wanted to focus more just on just full time acting. And then
Mhm.
also I picked up a backstage job at the Indiana Repertory Theater working as a wardrobe dresser. And also it was something that I like to learn, like a new skill. And my intention was to do more work in the theater. And then while I'm not acting, be helpful backstage somewhere. And I felt like the wardrobe department was someplace where I wanted to be. And it still is. When the theaters open up, that's something I'd like to jump back into. But of course, when the pandemic hit, we were only 2 weeks into our show and we had to close up
What
that.
show is that?
It was The Murder on the Orient Express.
Oh, so you were a dresser on the Murder on the Orient Express before it closed down.
Yes.
That must have been quite a show to be a dresser on, all those 1930s period costumes and the women's clothing. I'm sure it was astounding.
It was amazing. I
Yeah.
was like, I wish I could be at this show. Understand. But
So had you been on, go ahead.
I was going to say friendships were made, and it was just we were going to hang out after the shows. We were going to go maybe like out of the town, and of course, this pandemic just ruined everything. Just threw a monkey wrench in everything. So,
It sure did. And now it's been a year, right, since all the theaters in Indianapolis shut down. So were you a wardrobe dresser the entire season at the IRT?
yeah, just for that particular show because I
Oh,
just won that
yeah.
February, I think. Yeah, it was funny. The same my first day on at the theater, I also had jury duty. But they didn't, it was good. I was like, I got to go to my job.
Wow, that would have been quite a February to start at the
Oh, it
IRT and also have jury
was a
duty.
very interesting day.
Yeah. So in addition to that, had you been working much as an actor in Indianapolis at any theater companies or even, doing classes anywhere else?
Well, I just been doing Meisner with our class, and this week I just finished up a 3-day project with my talent agency. I was working on a commercial shoot, so it's been a kind of a long week, but it was a fruitful week.
Yeah.
I'm
Are
glad.
you able to divulge what your gig was for your freelance acting?
Right now, I can't say.
Oh, all right. Well, good. I like secrets. I think
But
actors who have secrets are really, it's a good thing.
it is.
So are you able to apply your Meisner training to your work as a on-camera actor?
Oh, I sure did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because I think it was just a lot of improv and a lot of still shots. So it was just basically I was repeating with the other actors that were in the room. This
yeah.
is something that was very useful, very helpful. Uh, One of the rules that we learn in class has helped me very much with other projects.
Do you want to talk a little bit about like what is that? What is the core exercise is called the repetition exercise, and we spend a lot of weeks sort of, I wouldn't even say mastering it. It really is something you spend your entire life, as a method actor, is picking up and dealing with moment to moment what's going on with another person, allowing it to affect you. So it's like yoga or anything that becomes a discipline you do for your lifetime. Sometimes you're in a better zone to do it, and sometimes it's more like it's harder. But how could you, I guess, for those people who watch this interview, could you describe what you're talking about?
So for me, I guess from my perspective, it's me. You mean like in class? What we?
Yeah, well, like when you said, picking up and dealing with what's going on with another actor, like in the improv that you had to do for this shoot, talk a little bit about, for those people who don't know what you and I are talking about, the repetition exercise in Sanford Meisner, describe it back to me, I think, and then that'll help whoever's watching be like, oh, okay, now I think
Oh,
maybe.
okay. Okay. Oh well, the person in front of me, they would, maybe they'll say something first, and then maybe I'll just play off of that, and they'll be like, "Oh, I need to," and I'm really excited about this. I don't know this the big game that's coming, for example. I'm like, "Oh, you're a fan of blah blah blah, like sport or whatever, this particular sport or this particular team," and then we just kind of go back and forth with that. And sometimes it goes off on so many different tangents. Like yesterday, we were talking about, I don't know, a big game, and then we ended up talking about pizza and tacos. So it can go anywhere, just like how it does in class.
Right, right, right.
Uh,
So when, as we emerge from the pandemic, have you had any conversations with any producers or any theater companies in town or any colleagues about creating work or getting hired to do stage acting, or are you just kind of still waiting?
I hate to say that I'm still waiting because
Yeah,
I want to make sure that everything's 100% safe,
yeah.
and I don't know if that's a good idea, but right now that's where I am. Who
I
knows? I
think
may
that.
change my mind tomorrow.
Oh, I think that's perfectly. I think caution uh, is being too cautious. I would much rather people be too cautious than too reckless, right? Because I've had my first vaccination. I should have my second one here in the next week or two.
Mhm.
And then after that, it's another couple of weeks till I'm theoretically fully, or the immunity has as much as I'm going to get, right? So I'm
Mhm.
just like, still going out a little bit to a restaurant once a week, maybe, but only if I know I feel socially distanced, and we'll be out of doors tomorrow night. But no, and we're not planning to reopen the indoor theaters for Phoenix productions until October. Um, by then, based on everything we've been hearing from Dr. Fauci and the CDC and even Marion County, it's like, no, we got a lot more work to get through before we can be gathering in theaters and in the numbers the Phoenix needs in order to be able to afford to do a show. I mean, we can't play to 25 people in a house of 130 anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
financially, we
We gotta be realistic.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So when you talk to your fellow classmates, like where are people like where are they in their journey as Meisner actors with the class?
Well, I think people are they're still writing work, which is excellent. I know Paige, she's doing something. I think was it Diva Fest?
Yeah,
Doing
yeah. I'm
something
planning.
too?
I'm gonna try to go in April.
Yeah. So I mean that's I'm gonna try to check that out.
Yeah, yeah. She seems like she was one of the first playwrights to talk to me about making new work. Like so many,
Mhm.
when I was talking to people last summer, people were so sad and depressed, and like I don't want to write. I don't feel I can't. I don't know what to write about right now. And Paige seemed to be one of the first playwrights and she's also an actor and a musician. But
Mhm.
as a playwright, she was the first one who was like, "Yeah, I've been working." I'm like, "Oh, good for you." And you could feel like whatever she was writing was really meaningful to her.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I love about her. I mean, she has so many ideas, just bursting with ideas, and she's still writing even during this. She's not letting this pandemic stop her.
yeah,
I know everybody's different. I know I've had my moments where I'm just like, oh no, depressed. I'm like, when am I going to start working again? But
yeah,
I know it's just a matter of time.
yeah. Oh yeah, it's a matter of time. But I've certainly felt that way. It's like I don't know how much longer this pause can last if I'm going to come out of this with any sense of like, oh yeah, I'm an artist. Let's start creating again. And I'm starting to get that back. I mean, I don't feel the need to produce a play or act in a play or direct a play or even go see a play right now. So, but I can tell that I'm inching back toward that
Mhm.
world.
Yeah, starting to get my passion back. I know I was feeling a little bit uninspired at the end of last year with, you know, or I don't know, hopeless, thinking we don't know how long this thing is going to last, or we don't know if we're ever going to be able to perform on like an actual stage this year or next year, or who knows when. And sometimes you just have to make up your mind. Sometimes it's just like a mindset thing. You just got to make up your mind and say, this thing is happening, but you're an artist and there's still work to do.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, and that's clear in the class is I just think people are bringing their A games to this class because it is obviously it's a way to stay connected, but also it is the work right now. I mean, it's not like you're all going off to rehearsal on Tuesdays through Sundays and we have class on Monday nights. Like this is the work. So I think it's giving a lot of you the time outside of class to do all the work you need to do. So every time you come to class, we
mhm,
we see growth. We were able to give you notes based on the work you've done outside of class. You go on your days off and you virtually meet with your scene partner. You come back to class the following Monday, and so
mhm,
there has been a really steady, which isn't always the case, because it's two steps forward, sometimes one step back when you're learning to be an artist or even when you're practicing. But the consistent move forward of everybody in this class, like very few times we'll be like, oh yeah, this scene took a noticeable step backwards. Sometimes there's been a hiccup in a place where there's never been, or an actor is now struggling with a different part of the text than they were the previous week. But overall, there's just this sequential growth that everybody is in, and it was evident in the restoration text. I'm like, wow, how far we have come, even in the restoration segment, which was about 2 months. I was like, wow, this is like a really noticeable leap forward. And I have every expectation that the Spoon River anthology poems, which is to teach artists how to do theater artists how to do essentially monologues with full character, full objectives, full doings, fighting for what they want from whomever it is they're talking to. That's the next
mhm.
chunk, and then it's final scenes. But I feel like you guys are all ready. Most of you are ready to do the restoration text for the last time. I would say 2 weeks earlier than we did, but I'm glad we waited a couple more weeks because I thought everybody pretty much across the board gave about the best performances they had so far on Monday night. And so, yeah, it's really inspiring, the class. And I think it has to do with the fact that this is all the art we get to produce right now is this
Mhm.
class. Yeah.
And I must say, watching the restoration scenes, it's been a real treat watching everybody.
Uh, why so? Actually, just speak to what your experience was and what your understanding of the restoration tech. Why we learn them when we learn them as Meisner actors, and what you saw in your classmates.
Well, first of all, from my point of view, with the restoration scenes, they're supposed to be like these big over the top characters, and these are humorous plays. These are humorous scenes, and I feel like right now we need more laughter in our lives.
Yep.
And just watching people that are like totally opposite of what their characters are, and knowing that they have that in them, they can bring that character out. It's just amazing to see that.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And same for myself. My character, Gwendolyn Fairfax, I took her everywhere. I took her to the store. I took her to work. So it was kind of fun just answering the phone like, hello, you know.
I think that's great. That I think is it's one of the things I do myself when I'm working on a challenging physical life for a character
Mhm.
when I take them out into the world, what I learn about them in the world. How comfortable am I in their skins when I'm out in the world? And I think that's awesome. I think just for the viewers who watch this interview, Ashley's assignment was Gwendolyn in The Importance of Being Earnest, which is written by Oscar Wilde about 1895. And so people are like, well, that's not a real restoration text because the restoration plays are from the late 17th century. But Sandy Meisner used Sheridan plays, Oscar Wilde plays. I'm sure he used other plays outside the period of the true restoration. But the idea is that challenging actors with big, profound character work, and to live as fully and as truthfully as you can. Because sometimes we see comedy and I'm like, oh, this feels shallow and two-dimensional. And how do you create three-dimensional characters that live in these really big plays, but yet land with audiences? Because I think and that's why I thought the scenes were so good the other night is they're kind of ridiculous scenes, but yet, and they were very funny, but you believe the characters had real heart and real souls.
Mhm.
And that's what I saw the other night. And I really like to see actors, and I think everybody, but certainly you, really enjoyed inhabiting the character you were given. And
Mhm.
that's the challenge of any actor, regardless of the character is the villain in the play, is finding a way in that you want to fight for them, and fight for what they're trying to say, right? And yeah, you were a delight. I thought I just like Gwendolyn was a delight. I thought Cecily was a delight as well.
Yes.
Makes me want to see and produce that whole script.
Like the whole thing with me and Sally in
Uh,
those roles.
so we're moving on to Spoon River Anthology. Those are the Edgar Lee Masters. It's his collection of poems based on inscriptions and on gravestones. That was his idea of those poems. And so, have you started looking through those poems yet? Have you started doing that work?
There was one of the characters that you gave me. Was it Hortense?
Yeah,
Somebody.
I can't remember Hortense's last name. Yeah,
I always go with like the most interesting sounding name. So
yeah,
yeah, I want to actually I'm going to start today playing with
yeah,
her character.
yeah. Yeah, those were I like that. Every time I assign a new segment, I always try to um, give actors challenges that are the next phase of their growth. And so choosing the right poems for you 14 students, which is the most I've ever had going into the Spoon River Anthology segment. It's a balancing act to find what I think is going to challenge you. And then also what I think is also achievable, or are they everybody's really ready for whatever emotional challenges I'm throwing at them. But I also try to be like, well, I don't want to give three characters that are despairing or raging, and there's only one to choose from when it comes to joy or happiness or, whatever. So yeah. Well, I'm excited to get moving on Spoon River because this is and what's great about this segment, not that you and Sally, had any problems working together, I don't think, but it's I will move it as quickly as each of you are doing the work outside of class. So if people are cooking with gas, once we get to the final presentations, there are going to be some pretty great pieces. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm excited to see how this goes.
yeah. So my guess is certainly by the middle of June, the class will be coming to an end. So have you been giving some thought to the class coming to an end?
I know it's going to be bittersweet because I've had a blast working with everyone in the class.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, I know we're here in the city.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
except for Charlene.
Yeah, I know.
Now,
I
but,
know. Yeah, one of our students moved to New York. So the good thing about the class being virtual, she's been able to stay with us, even though she's been in New York City since December, January?
yeah.
No. Yeah, I have this fantasy this summer as the pandemic really lifts, is to have a party at my house with this class, who's ever left in Indianapolis from my first and second classes that I taught, have Martha come up from Bloomington, have some of her, there's a few actors in town, myself included, Jillian Moffett, Beverly Roche, who were trained by Martha in Bloomington many years ago. I have this fantasy of having like a Meisner actor party out on our patio this summer after the pandemic, after we get sort of the all clear, which is sounding like maybe by June, July, based on what President Biden just said, right? Is that what I'm hearing? 4th of July?
Probably July.
Yeah, 4th of July. So maybe sometime in July we can have a little, we can just have a party and people could bring significant others and just do a pitching out on my patio and
Pets.
yeah, yeah. I would like to know like how you came into the world of the theater.
Okay. I can go as early as college or high school, 5th grade.
You know what? I think these stories are always interesting. What is the moment you look back on and you think, oh, that's when I decided I wanted to be an actor?
I want to say, I think I want to say probably in high school. Because oh gosh, I was in everything in high school. I was in orchestra. I was in color guard / like marching band. My brother was in marching band, and I was in color guard. So I was kind of like everybody's little sister.
Yeah.
I was in what else? Dance team my senior year, and I ran track, and I did show choir, and I gave up track for show choir. That's how much fun I had with that. And we did the musicals, and I was like, I think I want to do this. So
what was your first show?
My first show that I did was my junior year. I did Secret Garden. I was a part of the dancing bush shrubbery thing.
Gosh,
it was interesting, but I had fun.
Yeah. No, that's a great musical. Yeah. I saw a production, gosh, 20 some years ago or something like that. And so that's you would consider that sort of your beginning of your theater life.
Yeah, the theater bug kind of hit me.
And so from high school, what was next?
High school, I went to college. I went to University of Indianapolis for 1 year. Didn't really do anything there. Kind of undecided. I say my major was eating lunch and sleeping through class. Oh. Then I transferred to Butler because I was still playing viola, and I was thinking, oh, they have a fantastic music department. I'm going to audition for them. So I did orchestra a couple of semesters, and I did their choir as well. And my choir director was Henry Leck. And also, a funny thing, his wife also was my music teacher from K through 5.
Oh, wow.
Fantastic. Also, I had a lot of friends who were theater majors in college, and I was like, let me go to their shows and support them. And I was like, this theater department is pretty awesome too. And when I was there, Dr. John Green was the department head. And I was just kind of like looking at the different photos that are hung up on the wall from past productions. And he kind of sauntered up next to me, and he was like, what is this booming British accent? He was like, that could be you up there one day. And I was just thinking, me, I'm just a musician. I can't do that. Like, it's like where it started. How's it going now?
Oh, yeah. No, it's a process. It's a journey. Yeah. John Green, I think the first show I ever did at the Indiana Repertory Theater as an actor, I think that's the first show, was the first time I did Julius Caesar. He directed that at the Indiana Rep. Yeah. That's, I didn't realize, I don't think if I heard that you had gone to Butler during John Green's era, it didn't stick with me until now. So that's quite an overlap. Yeah. He really changed that department for the better, I think. And I don't really know much about that's precursor to John, but it seemed like there was a real vitality while John was heading that program, and there were some really inventive productions, and I think kids were encouraged to be bold.
It was definitely not for the timid. And I was still kind of like in that timid, like I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah,
like, leave it all to me. Now I'm just like, I could do anything.
Yeah, your confidence level as an actor, I think, has grown tremendously. And part of it, though, too, is like anything. It's like once you learn how to do something and you have the tools to do it, And then you practice, practice, practice. It's just like playing an instrument, right? You learn how to technically do it. And then it's like with practice and experience and enjoying the work and enjoying the performance and enjoying the practice, you just get better at something like that. So after Butler, what came next? What came next in Indianapolis for you as an artist?
Well, while I was in college, I was performing kind of professionally, like outside of the campus. My first gig was with the symphony. I was doing the Yuletide celebration.
Oh,
And I got into that from my one of my jazz instructors. I took her class in the mornings, Jennifer Latner.
oh
And
yeah,
so
she was in our production of Bright Star.
yeah, she's been kind of like a big help with kind of getting me out of my shell as a dancer and as an actor.
That's lovely.
So I've done that for several years, and then I started branching out and doing more community theater, and then I started leaning more towards professional theater because I was like at the point where I want to get paid for this some more. So more musical theater, and now I at that time in my life where I wanted to study more plays and read more plays and acting, and I've read some beautiful plays lately, and this is something that I want to focus on now. Who
So
knows?
what
I
plays,
may be a musical somewhere later in life, but I want to focus on these great plays.
what plays have you been reading?
I've been reading a few, well, the ones that we read in class for like the O'Neills. So we did when Paige and I, we did Anna Christie.
Yes.
Um, and of course, the importance of being earnest with Oscar Wilde. I've been reading a lot from Lynn Nottage, and then sometimes I go back to the Tennessee Williams, the Edward Albee. One I would like to reread again is I would love to reread Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf again.
While
Yeah.
we're recording this today, it's actually his birthday. I just saw it online.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's Edward Albert's birthday today. Yeah, we're recording this on March 12th. And I just saw a thing that it's Albee's birthday today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And after I saw Sweat at Phoenix a few seasons ago, and I was like, I got to read this again. I got to watch it. I loved it, and I was like, I got to go back and just keep this with me. This is something I want to keep with me forever.
Yeah, that's a beautiful script. I think Lynn Nottage is one of the greats right now. She's just one of the great playwrights. She's tackling really big things in really intricate and profound ways, like big ideas that are told through, what feel like simple relationship dramas, but they're really profound. They're profound explorations. And yeah, she feels like one of those playwrights, even though we're living with her right now, but it feels like her work is going to be with us for decades to come, in the way that like Tennessee Williams and Edward Albee and August Wilson, and even though Lorraine Hansberry only got 2 plays done on Broadway before she passed away. I mean, those plays I think are going to be with us forever as well. So yeah, you've been reading some good stuff.
Yes. Good.
I don't know. I mean, I think that's actually a hallmark of a person who's meant to do it, is how they're exploring their craft when they're not practicing it for specific project. So reading plays as a player, as a theater maker, even while you don't have anything brewing, I mean, what a great use of time, and what a great way to develop. Because by reading, and this is what I always tell my students whenever I'm on my soapbox, is there's all kinds of TV to digest, there's all kinds of books to digest, there's all kinds of experiences to be had. Try to choose the highest quality when you do it, right? So like I've started rewatching Schitt's Creek because I am absolutely fascinated by the character work in that thing. And I just think it's like but yet it seems like a 22-minute sitcom, and it is. I mean, there's, it's comedy obviously, but sometimes the episodes are so profound, but really it's the character work, it's the commitment that those people are making to those characters. And so when I tell students, I'm just like, when you read books, not that there's anything wrong with, a Harlequin romance, but maybe you want to pick up like I'm reading James Baldwin right now, If Beale Street Could Talk, for a book club I'm in, and it is a beautifully written novel. I haven't seen the film yet, so I'm glad I haven't. But it's just like, if you're gonna if you're going to sit down and watch television, try to choose something that, is going to enrich you as opposed to just sort of mindlessly entertaining yourself. And
But I mean, guilty is charged. I I do watch the
I don't
mindless
mean it to be a
every
criticism.
now
Yeah,
and
I
then.
mean, my wife is watching what Naked and Afraid or whatever, they drop naked people in the woods or whatever. And they have to like,
No, not that.
um, yeah, um, yeah, I certainly have that too, where I sometimes just want to just be away, but I'm still like, well, oh, Dairy Girls. We've been watching Dairy Girls, which
Oh yeah,
is Northern
yeah.
Ireland.
I'm going to put that on my list.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I have to read it with the subtitles because they have such thick accents, thick dialogue.
yeah. Was it? Is it Cockney or?
No, they're in Northern Ireland. It's
Okay.
set in Northern Ireland
Oh, okay.
before the ceasefire. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's very funny. It's very, the humor is it can be brutal. But it's not, I don't think it's really, it's not mean spirited. I don't think it feels like everybody's in the same world. There's not like one person who's always the butt of the jokes, right? It's like they're evenly dispersed.
They're all smart asses.
They're all smartasses. They're all girls and one guy in an all girls Catholic school.
Nice.
And yeah. It's worth it. And a good character work too. And a commitment to the world they're in, right? They all feel like they're in the same kind of ridiculous family situation. And
Good.
so what are some of before we get too far afield of your career in Indianapolis, when did you start like working as a theater artist in the last few years? Like when did you start, working here and there?
Hmm. I want to say I decided I was going to be really serious about it in 2000. I want to say 2013 because I was doing something every year consistently, and I was like, if I can keep this up, then I think I might want to pursue acting full time. So, but of course, there's nothing wrong with having this side job now and then because I had that, and I have that right now. So actually, I'm getting ready to have two starting on Monday. So,
Is
so
it busy?
there's nothing wrong with that having that side job, to
Oh
keep you afloat.
no.
It's okay.
Yeah, there are very, very, very few people in all the years I have been working have I ever met somebody who derives their sole income from being a professional actor.
Yeah.
Because it's just, right now we live in a world in which, actors aren't really compensated in the way I think they should be compensated. I think somebody, if they're meant to be an actor, I don't think people should be like, oh, get a real job. It's like, well, that's probably why they're on this planet, is to be an actor or a musician or a painter or a sculptor or a ballet dancer or a contemporary dancer, whatever. It's like, could we create a system in which people are supported without having to work, 18 jobs and then do the art on top of that? But I do think, though, that there's a balance to be struck between, could I do one side gig, one side hustle, and the art? Like, that's a world where I think that seems fair. Like, waiting tables 20 or 30 hours a week and then spending, 20 hours a week or 30 hours a week creating theater or sculpture or whatever. It's that balance. What feels hard in this world we're in is people who have to work three jobs and then still do the art. Like, I was talking to a director the other day about his career to really starting to take off as a professional director in regional theater across the country. And he's like, by this fall, I hope to give up one of my three side jobs, which is, and I'm like, oh my God, three jobs that in order to make, yeah. And his star is rising, right? And so I'm like, ooh, wow. Cause I thought he might be saying like, I've got, I do this and I do this. And this fall, it's just going to be directing and that side gig. But he's like giving up one of three side gigs, hopefully by September. Like, ooh, yeah, I just wish it wasn't so hard to be a professional artist in the world. I just wish that, I understand there has to be some sacrifice, but it just feels like the sacrifice you have to make in order to create art is just so hard. We make it so hard. So what else? Anything else that you and I talked about in notes that we didn't get covered in this interview?
I don't think so. I think we got everything. Really. Anything just any other like stuff I've been doing like during quarantine, just like fuck all, like cooking and trying to play my viola again and all that stuff. Not really trying to fill my days with language. Like I'm trying to fill my days with French and German every day, just trying to, just trying to pick up some new languages and trying to just keep it consistent. Because one of these days I would like to travel.
What a good use of time. So you've actually been working on speaking languages, foreign languages, or foreign international languages, or
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, je parle français un peu. We'll see. We'll see how that goes later.
I was impressed. I don't speak French, but I was certainly impressed by the sound of it.
Oh, merci beaucoup.
And what was the other language you're working on?
German.
German. Oh yes. Yeah.
Like, yeah. I sometimes I get a little embarrassed because I'm trying to pronounce things correctly, and that Indiana twang likes to come through.
Yeah. My daughter's one of her best friends. Her parents are German, and she speaks German because they speak German still in the home. And so sometimes when I'm with my daughter Elliot, when I'm with her friend Amy, when she's over, I actually can speak a little German because I took 4 years in high school and 2 years in college. And it is interesting, even just starting to talk to Amy in German, I like words are coming back, and conversational German is starting to, like, I can actually kind of hear it again in my voice, in my brain. And so I'm like, oh, I wonder if I took one brush up class, if I could go, when I go back to Germany at some point, I'd like to do that. If I could actually make my way in German, I think I might be able to do that with a brush up class.
I think I might be able to get through Berlin, but I feel like they always want to speak English with you. I'm like, I want to learn your language. I'm in your house.
No.
That's like going to somebody's house and just disrespecting them.
Nature. Yeah, everybody was like, and they were very fluent English. So you're like, sure, I'll speak English. Yeah. I do. I sort of feel like because other countries are so much better at learning English than we are at learning their languages, we default to English when I travel. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and that I don't actually mean to do that. It's just like, oh, okay, because it's just, I'm like, it's our mother tongue, but I want to learn theirs.
Well, yeah, and you want to communicate. I want to connect with another person as quickly as I can, and when I realize they're much more fluent in English than I am in German, I'm like, well, sure, let's converse in English then, so we can connect. Yeah. Well, any last thoughts, Ashley, you want to share before we wrap up this interview? Anything about, any inspiration? Here's any inspiration you want to give to anybody who's thinking about taking the Meisner class. It's likely that Jolene Menting Moffat is going to be teaching her next session. 2-year training begins sometime probably in October.
Any inspiration? Well, I say, if I can say,
put you on the spot. If you have no inspiration.
Like, I'm just trying to think what I would tell my younger self. I'm like, just go for it. I'm like, who cares if you're shy? You're shy. It's okay. Just do it, because you have it in you. And, you're going to learn these tools, you're going to learn these skills, and you're going to go into a room and you're going to fill that room with all your energy and all of that, intention that you put into your work. Nobody can take that away from you. I mean, they may not give you the job, but they can't take away your talent or your skill.
That's lovely. That's really lovely. Yeah, that's really lovely. I read a quote by Ed Harris once where he was bartending in New York and wasn't landing anything. And finally he realized, all the acting I'm doing is when I go into an audition room. And he said, well, finally, I'm just like, well, if that's all the acting I'm going to do, then I'm giving the fullest performance I want to give in that 3 or 5 minutes I get. And then he said,
they're lost.
Well, and that's when he started booking work. That's when he was like, once I started just putting myself out there and we're like, this is the work, take it or leave it. People started taking it, right? They're like, oh, there, he's full, he's confident, he's all there. And I think that
my thing is, I also stopped stressing about it. I just went in there and had fun and, gave them my 90 seconds or 2 minutes, however time they needed. I gave them what I had. And I know there have been some auditions where I was completely terrible. I mean, just dreadful, like forgetting lines, going up forgetting my lyrics to my song and just sitting down when I didn't have to, and all the energy just went.
You
But
know, though, those
learned
as I
lessons.
get older, I mean, I beat myself up sometimes about, oh, I wish I'd done this or I wish I'd said that. But you know what? It's just you gotta just that it's all in the rearview mirror. It's like the next
Mhm.
gig, either
Yep.
I'll fail or I'll succeed, but I'm gonna keep putting it out there as fully as I possibly can. And sometimes, you crash and burn an audition. You're like, well,
And it's like, oh well, fuck it.
yep,
Next.
that's life. Moving on. Moving on. Well, Ashley, this has been a delight. You just seem like you're doing so well. I don't just mean in class, but you just seem like, right now you're about as well as could be expected for anybody. Is that safe to say?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate this class, and these last 2 years have been terrific for my growth on and off stage. So
Oh,
I appreciate you, and I appreciate all the classmates that we've had. So, and these last couple months, they're going to be pretty bittersweet.
yeah. I feel the same way. I feel like this has been very more important to me than I think I realized teaching this class. And I think pivoting to the Zoom world as quickly as we did, I'm glad I was anxious, but I thought, well, we got to keep going because who knows? And look, we're coming up on 12 months of being in the Zoom world with this class.
Yep.
So yeah, it's been a balm to my soul, and I'm thankful you and the other 13 students have been along for the ride for this since for 2 years, but certainly in the Zoom world for 12 months. So thank you for being you and for bringing all yourself to this class. It's meant a lot.
Yeah. Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it.
All right, I'll see you, my friend. Be well.
Okay. See ya. Thanks.